Wow, 11 o'clock. You know what it reminds me of? I don't know how many of you watched Mary Poppins, the movie. And there is this English old sailor, or whatever he was, captain. And when Mr. Banks comes home, he always shoots the cannon at 6 o'clock from his roof. Has to be exactly on time. So this is what I do here at 11. I shoot my cannon. Let me just have a look here on YouTube, make sure that I'm actually there. Okay, I don't even know how to get there right now. So my channel, let's see. There we go. Here at 11, I shoot my cannon. Okay, obviously I'm there with a delay, but that's okay. So, this video, for the ones that are familiar with reality transurfing, which is probably the majority of you, this video I created 100% with outer intention. And what do I mean by that is, I was going to actually tell you like this, about 30 years ago, and they started to do automatic landings with airplanes. Today, I guess they do it randomly when there's clouds and stuff like that. But those days, it was a unique experience. So the pilot would tell us that after we landed, he didn't want to scare us. He would say, oh, this was a totally 100% automatic landing. So I'm telling you, this is 100% outer intention video. And what I mean by that is that I'm looking at all your smiles here on the on the comments. It's amazing. I did not attend to it or do anything with it up until about an hour and a quarter before 11 this morning. And then I sat down and I said, okay, outer intention now, create a video for me. And you will tell me if it worked okay or not. Also, I wanted to tell you that for technical reasons, no, this is not for technical reasons. I will not do the next 4 weeks, I will not do live. I want to make some videos because I haven't made a video in a long time. I mean a video with some topics in depth, maybe some new ideas and so on. And on live, I can only go that far, that deep into things. So I'm going to take a 4-week break with the lives. We will continue with our focus group meetings, which we have one next Sunday at 12:30. That will be, I don't know what the date will be, but next Sunday. So we'll continue with that, but I will stop the live for 4 weeks and I will make some videos because I have some good ideas and I need to sit down and actually implement it. So I named this video, Where is the Collective Consciousness and Where are the Akashic Records, which is basically the same thing. And what I want to talk about is try to explain the structure of, I don't want to say this universe, because if we talk only about this universe, then we talk only about a physical reality and structure, right? So I would go higher than that. I would say that our universe is part of something much bigger, which I call the programmer. And today I want to touch and go through, start with the physical aspect of it, quantum physics, examples. Again, I'm not a physicist, so I will not take you into anything complicated because I really don't. I only talk about the obvious. But I think that we will be able to go from there and explain certain phenomena, like, for example, synchronicity, outer intention, magic, right? I made a list here somewhere of these things. Let me just have a look. So I was talking about magic, manifestation, outer intention, synchronicity. All these things are happening. I mean, you see the results, the end result, the product you see in the physical, right? But they are not happening in the physical. And I will show you today why not, and what is involved in this infrastructure, how these things happen. And by the way, it's a sunny day today here after we had a big snowstorm overnight. So now the snow is melting, which is nice. See all the birds. I have a couple of bird feeders and a hummingbird feeder with some sugar water, and they are all out here. So nice. Too bad I cannot turn the camera and show you, but too complicated. Maybe another time. So, you know, we have this tendency, human tendency, which is actually against the will of the programmer, is to go into grooves. Like any of you that do cross-country skiing, you know, there's those pre-made groove that people skied in for the last 50 years. And this is usually when you go on a trail, this is people go in the same groove. They keep going. So I want to get out of that groove because we have been in it for too long, you know, trying to... it's more convenient for me, and maybe, but today I want to get out of it. So be something different. That's why I left it to outer intention to create, because otherwise, if I created it, I'd probably go in the same groove. We need a big break. So first, some mind challenges. So many people ask, many science and so on ask the question, do we have free will? And it's really a tough question. Of course we have free will. If I didn't want to do this video, I wouldn't do it, right? So I have free will. Or if I want right now, I can dance in front of the camera, or I can maybe sing a song. I'm not a big singer, but so I have free will, right? And you can either join or not join or walk away from here. Everybody has free will. But I'm just trying to see something here. Give me a second. Yeah. But it's not 100% true, and I'll tell you why. You see, when the programmer created this reality, and you know, this is things that I talk about a lot in my videos, he created also what I call the ratio of personalities, ratio of characters. And that ratio, like what personalities will be in this reality, in this world, in this universe, determines basically what colors we can use in painting our reality, in our free will. Okay? So he basically designated the colors we can use. We cannot use different colors. So by programming that the ratio of the personalities will be X, and it's 100% programmed, because if you change that, or if you change it any time, you know, our reality, the whole thing would totally change and shift. Like if everybody was a beautiful soul and you know, caring for other people, we would have a different reality. And vice versa, if everybody was bad, we would have a totally different reality, or maybe it wouldn't even exist. So that means that the free will we have, we can only use the colors that were programmed into this reality, into this... you know, I'm trying not to use reality, because I was going to say later in this video that there is no such thing as a reality. There is only realities in plural. And because everybody has their own unique reality, and there is no other reality out of that. So we cannot say reality. There is no such thing. There is only realities. Okay? Anyway, that was just a topic that does not really belong to what I want to talk about in this video, but just wanted to give you something to think about, because people that actually go out of those boundaries, and there are people that go out of those boundaries, that they actually pick a new color, they I would say have really the real free will, and they do some totally insane stuff, but there are very, very few over the generations that do something like that, which is totally out of character. If you look, everything is within those colors. So like I said, I want to revisit, and I say revisit because I had many videos about the particles and how they are like Lego pieces, and the dual slit, double slit experiment, and so on. But I want to talk about these things today in relation to those magic and manifesting and synchronicity and all these other things I was talking about. Okay, I have another interesting thing that I wanted to talk about, but you know what, I'll push it aside and talk about it at the end, so I don't get off the topic here. So as I said many times, you know, the building blocks of this universe, or I call them the Lego pieces, are the atomic particles. Those are the little tiny things that make the atom. And the atom obviously makes everything that's physical in our reality, right? And that's why I call those particles the Lego. And I came up with an interesting description this morning. It said the particles are the piano keys that the programmer plays to create the physical music. Okay? So they're the piano keys that the programmer sits down and plays and creates our physical music, our physical realities. Okay? And what that implies really is that the particles are actually, they exist in both how can I say it? Both in the physical world and in the virtual world. Okay? They exist on both sides. And they are actually the interface between the programmer and this physical world, or between our consciousness and this physical world. It's the same thing. They are the interface. And I'll tell you another thing. You know that almost every book or video or teacher or whatever that talks about anything spiritual, at least what they define spiritual, and that includes you too, they use those definitions like frequencies, vibration, and energy. Like, especially, actually all three of them are, like in, I would say 99% of any teaching or any book or anything that talks about spiritual stuff, they talk about vibration, higher vibration, lower vibration, higher frequency, lower frequency, energy. Okay, when they try to describe something which is non-physical, I guess. But you know what? There is no these definitions can only be said in a physical reality. I have to use the word reality. I don't have any other thing to replace it with. So you know what I mean, even though it's not correct. Okay. So those definitions, frequency, vibration, and energy, can only be, they are only valid. They only exist in a physical reality where there is matter. Okay. Because if you have no matter, there's nothing to vibrate. You realize that. Because when we talk about the frequency, it means that something is vibrating at that frequency, okay? And that's like if you say 20 hertz, it means that something is vibrating 20 times a second, okay? And when you say energy, it's actually matter, because as per Einstein, matter and energy, they're equivalent. Matter equals energy. Energy equals matter. So that means that if you leave this physical reality, there is no vibration, there is no frequency, and there is no energy. Okay? And I'm going against the current here, but like I said, I want to get out of the groove. We have to understand that if we start to talk about any kind of magic, any kind of telepathy, any kind of talking to the dead, or any kind of Akashic records, we cannot talk about energy or vibration or frequency, because we are out of the physical world at that point. Okay? So another distinction I want to make here is between materialism and idealism. And what they are, materialism is the belief that everything, including our consciousness, is generated by matter, by our brain. Basically, that there is no God or programmer or Akashic records. This doesn't really exist. And everything is generated by our neurons, the cells of our brain. Okay, so this is materialism. Idealism is exactly the opposite. The idealism says that our brain is actually generated by our consciousness, which is non-physical. Okay, and I'm an idealist. And I wanted to draw that distinction because what I'm going to talk about now, it's very important to understand those two concepts. So we're going back to saying our particles, the building blocks of this universe, and again, everything in this universe, including my finger, my microphone, my camera, my dog, it's all made of those particles, including you too, at least according to scientific observation. Okay? And like I said, the particles they exist in both worlds, in the physical world and the non-physical world. And really the reason the particles exist in our physical world is to create the physical reality and give us an explanation to everything. Because if otherwise, how would you, like if there was no particles and there was a chair, like the first thing you would want to know, even if you're not a scientist, what is it made of? And you try to take it to the smallest possible, part to see what is the fundamental part, the fundamental material that makes that chair. And this is why the whole idea of particles is here. Now, I want to show you one phenomenon with particles that actually, for me, is a very powerful, I don't want to say proof because nothing is proof, but it's very, very strong evidence that they actually exist in both domains. And as you know, the speed limit in our universe is the speed of light. Nothing can move faster than the speed of light. This is where science, in 2023, this is where science stands. This is where Einstein, his ideas is that the speed of light is the ultimate speed, and nothing can go faster than that in the physical reality, right? In the non-physical reality, there is no time, so there is no such thing as the speed limit. Now, I want to show you, I want to play a video here. It's a 5-minute video. I hope YouTube doesn't shut me down because it's somebody else's video. But it's by this Mr. Quantum, and he talks about a phenomenon called entanglement. And he will explain it in the video, but in essence, what entanglement means, that if you there is a process that we can entangle, connect two particles, any particles, we can entangle them, and from that moment they become like twins. And what happens, they will always be in opposite states. So let's say if one is plus, the other one has to be minus. And if you switch this one to minus, this one will automatically switch to plus. And the thing is that even if you place those two particles after you entangle them on the two ends of the universe, which for light will take, say, 13 billion years to reach, that switch from plus to minus, that status, will happen instantly. So that shows you that they are not in the physical world, because in the physical world it would take 13 billion years for this to happen. And those are proven things. This is not, this is science, okay? And I'll show you this short video, and then I will summarize this thing, and then we'll go to you. I really looking forward to your questions and your input. And I see Danielle here. I see like 5 pictures of you. And there's a meow, a cat here. Okay, let's go to the video. I hope it doesn't bore you. And if for some reason the YouTube cuts it off, I will come back. It never happened to me, but you never know. Copyrights and stuff like that. Okay, so here we go.
Great-great-granddaddy of wacky quantum weirdness is entanglement. If time reversal symmetry destroys the notion of time, then entanglement crushes our experience of space. Two objects, two electrons created together, are entangled. Send one to the other side of the universe. Now, do something to one, and the other responds instantly. Instantly. So, either information is traveling infinitely fast, or, in reality, they are still connected. They are entangled. And since everything was entangled at the moment of the Big Bang, that means everything is still touching. Space is just the construct that gives the illusion that there are separate objects. Are we far enough down the rabbit hole yet?
Okay. Yes, I know Captain Blimp, I know that, but that's not related to oops. This is not related to our video, whether you can transfer information or not. That's not the point. I know you cannot transfer information at this stage. But the fact is that when you change one, the other one changes, okay? So that's a fact, and it happens faster than this. I mean, it happens at no time at all, like it's instant, which in essence means that that aspect of the particle is not in physical reality, because if it was in physical reality, that phenomenon wouldn't happen, okay? Now, there is this other experiment, and I don't want to play another video. Or maybe I will. I don't know if you have the patience for it. Let me know here in the comments if you want me to play the double slit video. It's shorter. It's only like 2 minutes, but I can give you. I can leave a link in the description. It's up to you. But basically, in the double slit experiment, what happens is that we get a different outcome if nobody's observing the experiment. And observing doesn't mean necessarily with your eyes, because you cannot see particles, right? But if you have instruments and they try to observe what happens in the experiment, you get a totally different result than if nobody is watching or observing the experiment. You get a totally different result then. In one scenario, you get a particle, which is like a hardware thing, matter. But if you observe it, if you don't observe it, you get a wave, which is really not a matter anymore, okay? Again, showing that the particle can be either, okay? And how does that connect now to all those things like magic, manifestation, outer intention, and synchronicity? Is that all those things, they are happening on the piano side. Like if we manage to sneak in, okay, while the programmer is playing the piano and creates this reality, and we can push some keys there, and the problem is that we don't really know what key does what most of the time, but when we stick our hand in there, out of this physical reality, and go into this virtual, metaphysical reality, right? Then we create all these things. Like, for example, Michael, I'm sure he's here listening to the video. And you met Michael, all of you. He was with me here a few times. Like, he has the ability to talk to people that passed away, and it happens to him all the time since he was a child. His clients come to him, and he will all of a sudden see their mother or father or grandfather, and he will describe them, and the client will start crying, and they don't know how to react to it because he actually describes them the way they are. And how do you explain this kind of phenomenon? And the explanation lies in what I told you about the particles. Because there is those two worlds, right? There's the physical world where we live, and there is the non-physical world, and this is where the piano is. And every time you manage to get out there, which means that you actually connect to your consciousness, because only your consciousness can get out there. You cannot get out there. Only your consciousness can go out there. Then any of these things is possible, whether it's manifestation, outer intention, synchronicity, communicating with people that are not in the physical reality anymore, and so on. So I just wanted to, throw it out there to you, because it's a very fertile kind of, I think, base to understand better, or to at least try to build some kind of understanding or theory or something to understand all these things. And eventually, maybe we can actually start to learn and see what key does what, what tune does it play in the physical reality. All right, so I will now come back to you. See if I can put the comments on the screen, hopefully. Because I didn't prepare anything, I didn't prepare the comments either. I did it this morning. Maybe it will work. Let's see. No, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Okay, I'll just take one comment at a time. So let me go back to me here. All right, let me say hi to everybody. We have close to 50 people here. Very nice. Must be sunny in your place too. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take the comments and move them to my camera screen. That way I can look at you instead of looking on the side. Just a second. All right. Sami. Hello, Sami. It shows on the screen. Good. Lori. Omni-collective creativity. The Akashic records of the universe are stored in wait a minute. There, okay, this one. The Akashic. Okay, I went a little bit too quick. Okay, let's just say hi to Lori. And now this crystalline grid is on Earth, layering into the land masses. Okay. And what you're saying here, answer. The Akashic records of the universe are stored in our archangelic consciousness, 12th density beings, human collective consciousness in the crystalline grid. Okay. Look, I cannot argue that because I don't know. But in my subjective opinion. Anything to do with any of these things is not has nothing to do with matter. It's all virtual, but it's good. We need to hear many opinions here, not just mine, because nobody says that I am right. So thank you for the input. Hello, Daniel. Maryland. How is the weather in Maryland? Happy Sunday. Hi, Daniel. Hello. Eddie. Yeah, we had an interesting conversation this last week, right? And I think our conversation really was surrounding the metaphysical, not so much the physical. Manuela. Chris, you're not working today. Last time you were working, you changed your logo, your picture here, I think. Maybe on the Zoom it was different. Yeah, that was on the Zoom, right, on the group meeting. By the way, there is a blog I created on my website, the higher strategy solutions, and if you go there on the menu and you click on more, it shows blog, and if you look at that blog, that's the blog where the members of the focus group can participate and have discussions, post questions, and so on and so forth. So you can have a look there. We just started that, but hopefully it will get populated very soon with lots of comments. All right, Joe. Is it Joe or is it Yo? Because I know in Europe, in Eastern Europe, that would mean Yo. That's from my Russian and Polish. No, Canada has 4 or 5 time zones. So where I am is the Western Canada, and it's called the Pacific Standard Time. Here it's 11:30. But if you go to the other side of Canada, Newfoundland, or even maybe further, it will be 4.5 hours later. So there will be like I think there's 4 or 5 time zones. And one of them actually goes in half an hour for some reason. Yeah. Good morning, John. Eve. Greetings. Margaret. How are you, Margaret? You must be well. You always smile. I know you don't see your picture here, but whenever I look at any of your pictures, you always smiles. Colleen. I hear you had an interesting time with Michael, I shouldn't say Michael. You and your friend. He didn't tell me any details, don't worry, but he just told me that you visited him. Interesting, I'm looking into quantum healing because everything is consciousness. Well, let me stop here for a minute. Quantum healing. I'll give you something that I didn't really completely crystallized, but it may help somebody like John, other people that have some challenges, health challenges. It may help you in maybe in a big way. Okay, so quantum healing, the way it's described, forget about that. Okay, I'm talking about something original, not what is known as quantum healing, because I don't know what it really means. But remember, just a few minutes ago, I was talking about that double slit experiment, right? And I was saying that the particle can be either virtual, when it turns into a wave, or it can be physical when it turns into a particle, which is like a small ball, very, very small, right? Now, when we have physical challenges in our body, those physical challenges, they manifest as particles which are like matter, right? So God forbid that somebody has a tumor What does it mean? It means that the particles in that particular part of the body are not arranged properly, got rearranged, and it became a tumor. Because what does it mean? It means that the cell, right, instead of producing healthy cells, at the time, the way the program of the whole body works, at a certain time it needs to produce a healthy cell to replace itself. It produces uncontrollably unhealthy cells which keep producing. So this is really what a tumor is, cancer, what we call cancer, right? It's an uncontrolled division of cells which produce similar cells that again don't function anymore at the original functionality that they were assigned to. So now look at it this way. What it means, like I said, is that is somewhere in the DNA or something inside that cell, the particles that they moved, they changed locations, and they created a different arrangement because it's a physical illness, right? Cancer is a physical illness. But if you could turn those particles in that affected area, if you could turn them into virtual particles, then you can rearrange them, because then your mind can actually move it. Your mind has a very hard time, like I said, you have to reach into the piano to move physical stuff, right? If you take a pen, and now I'm trying to move it with my mind, we'll probably have this video like for the next 5 years if it ever moves, right? But if I turn this pen into waves, it means it become invisible. It would not be matter anymore, but it will still be there, because all the particles will be in the same place except they turn into waves. Then with my consciousness, my mind, my thinking, I could actually move them and maybe rearrange them to go back where they're supposed to go and get that cells to be well again. So this I would call quantum healing, not the way it's described, today. All right, that was a long story about quantum healing. Let's go on here. What's that? Oh, those are stones? I thought it was sushi at the beginning, but those are minerals. Very nice. Lori Lore. Good morning. I will tell the birds you're saying hello. I'll do it through the wave. I'm sure they will hear me. I know quantum healing is one of your favorite things to do. Yeah, maybe you and John should talk. I think John can actually use your connection and your spirituality. He would really appreciate it. Hello, Agafia, Italiano. Yeah, almost spring. I love the spring in Italy. I was there quite a few times in the springtime. It's so beautiful. Thank you, Meow. That must be also some quantum interpretation. It becomes a cat. I'm just kidding. Krasavica, elegantная. Elegantly, right. Shalom, Obina. Obi. I didn't know what Obima was earlier. Now I know. See, that's why it's so nice to have that focus group. We meet and we get actually to know each other rather than see some green O on the screen here. I know I owe you, and I will do it. I will do it this week. I've been overwhelmed last week, so I'll do it this week. And also, you are not a simple, not a simple face. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, yeah, I talked about it earlier. Eddie, what's your definition of personality? What are the different components that make up the overall personality? Ooh. This is a definition of personality is in essence, who you are. And I don't know if it can be defined. I know that Google probably has a definition, but I'll put it this way. You know how I describe reality. Every single person out of the 8 billion people we are has a different reality, right? So even if we all, 8 billion, were looking at one thing, like those, I don't know if you saw a picture of the sun reflectors they have in the desert to generate electricity. Some of them are like spread over, but there is other systems that work with like a tower, and all the mirrors are facing towards that tower. And in the tower, they boil water and generate electricity in the top. So let's suppose that all 8 billion people in the world were actually looking at this like mirrors into that tower. I guarantee you that each one would see a different reality. There would be not two that see exactly the same, like experience the same reality, okay? And the reason for it is the personality, okay? Because each one has a different personality. It means that they have different parameters to their vision, to their hearing, to their understanding, to thinking, to the emotions. Everything is different. It's tuned on a different, I don't want to say frequency, but it's adjusted in a different way. And this is a personality. It's everything about you. Same as reality is everything you experience, the personality is everything that you are. And it's virtual, it's not physical. The physical aspect of it, just like astrology, it shows on your face and your body, but it comes because of your personality, which is virtual. It's not physical, but it manifests itself in the physical world, and that's why certain people look like people that have like their lips down. They are usually not happy people, and so and people with big ears like me, they are very smart. Yeah, but this is just generalizing. It's not always the case. I have some friends with very small ears and they are geniuses, so it doesn't always work. But generally, this is why some people can do face reading, just because we can connect the physical projection to what's behind it in the virtual world, and this is called the personality. Okay. Captain Blip, even if they are attached, it doesn't really matter. The information has to travel, right? And there's a distance. So let's say they are attached. Let's say that there is an invisible string and we take the other one to the other side of the world. But when we change the status in one, right, in order for the other one to switch, that information, that knowledge that this one switched states has to arrive on the other side. So if they are connected physically, it makes absolutely no difference if they are connected or not connected. That information, call it, or knowledge, or command, or whatever it is, has to travel that distance. And it would take those 13 billion years, but it happens instantly. So, again, I'm not a physicist. I'm sure that there are arguments in the physics world which are maybe with different definitions, but I think in concept, this is the question. This is the phenomenon. I'm into playing the double slit experiment. Good. Maybe before we sign off here, I'll play that other video. It's very short. I think it's only like 2 minutes. And it's amazing. This Dr. Quantum, the way he explains it is really good. It's funny, but it's very informative. Yeah, I must have seen I know, I posted it many times. Okay, we won't bother with it, but I will post the link in the description at the bottom of the video. That's interesting, Danielle. Maybe you will get the Prize Nobel for physics and spirituality connected. They will get a new prize, because right now it's just physics. Hello, Sabrina. I was gonna ask before. I just saw Sabrina and I was gonna say, oh, she's in New York. Oh, I'm sure you're having a great time. I hope the weather is reasonable, because I find New York, I've been to New York many, many times. I used to live in Montreal, so New York was only 1 hour flight or 5 hours drive. And I find that New York, even if the temperature on the thermometer is not that cold, it feels extremely cold. I don't know why. It's very windy and all these cement buildings and all that. It's very, very cold. And yeah, I'm sure that you will tell me how you're enjoying there. How long are you going to be there also? Oh, there you go. I learned that electricity doesn't flow in wires, but in magnetic field outside the wire. Science is weird. Well, apparently it doesn't flow outside the wire, but on the surface. That's why they have the cables are actually not made of one piece of copper, but they are, what do you call it? They are tiny wires and wrapped together. This is because then you can transfer more electrons, because they travel on the surface of the wire. So if you instead of one big solid wire, you make stranded, I think it's called, many wires. And this is why many wires are that way. It's not only to make them flexible, it's also because you can transfer more current when you do that. But they are still traveling in the wire, but on the surface, not inside the wire. At least this is what physics, I think, says, science. You like sunshine, everybody does. Appreciate much. Good evening to all of you. Thank you. Is it possible to transcend the personality we are given by the programmer? Well, you will probably have to talk to the programmer about that. It is possible, but it's not easy. I think we had those discussions before. I'll just touch on it. When anybody goes through a very traumatic experience, usually a personality will change. And a good example is near-death experience, NDE. And if you look at it, at the research, you will find out that there is today probably close to 100,000 people that they interviewed and did research on. And it turns out that most of them, the personality changed. Oh, another one from New York, Itamar. The personality changed, and all of them changed to a certain type of personality, which is totally amazing. They didn't just change, they changed to a certain personality which is very similar to all these 100,000 people. And the change is quite profound. It's not a small change, okay? So that's one way, which, I don't think anybody wants to go through this kind of thing to change personalities. But then there's also drugs. There is, like I said before, name change is very powerful. If you change your name, your personality will change. And the most practical one, which maybe cannot change as much, is that if you learn to understand your personality, and usually you have to work with somebody else, it's very hard to do it by yourself. Once you understand your personality, you can actually start making some shifts in that person. Once you understand it, because you have to know what you're dealing with. You have to go above your personality to change your personality. You cannot do it while you are inside your personality. Like you have to be outside of it. And only somebody else can take you there. Happy Sunday. Sorry, I jumped too fast here. Okay. Is it possible? Okay, Denver's. Next one, from Maryland as well. I have two from Maryland now. There you go. So Itamar is in New York City. That's right. And then you're going to Dallas. So you after this, you can tell me how the weather was there. Hello from Washington. Well, that's not far. To New York, I mean. Discovered the channel 3 days ago. Oh, discovered the channel 3 days ago. Castor. That's good. Most people don't try to find their way. That means that you are fulfilling what the universe, what the programmer wants of you. It wants you to discover, to explore, to come up with new things, to renovate, not renovate, but to whatever the word is. And this is fantastic. You will have a good life. You will always be happy, as long as you stay on that path and don't get into the groove again and just do the same thing every day. So this is very refreshing to hear, and welcome to my channel. Looking at your name, I would assume, maybe I shouldn't make assumption. Let me see the picture. Yeah. Well, you are in a warm place. I can see that with short sleeves, at least when the picture was taken. Can someone affect our health without our consent, either good or bad? Well, obviously, when many people go to healers, right? Like Michael is a healer. He's very good at it. I think he took care of 15,000 people so far. And Danielle is a healer, right? So how do they do it? Well, you give them consent, I guess, because you go there. So maybe this is not the right answer. But the answer is yes. And that's why, we have all this witchcraft and witches, and that's why they burn them on the stake. And this is because there is that ability. Some people can do it. And, I don't know if you heard that story, but I told it a few times in my videos about this psychic in Israel who told somebody, you're going to be dead in 30 days and I'll put flowers on your grave. And that person died exactly in 30 days. So I'm sure that he didn't consent for this psychic to kill him. So the answer is yes, again, from my perspective. Hello, Money Man. When I look to the side, it's because I want to see the picture enlarged. I have a bigger screen on the side so I can see. See, you guys are dressed like billionaires, and that's good. That's a good start. I know, John, I know. That's why I was talking about it. Manchester United are winning. Well, I don't know. I think they lost to, what is it, Spain last time? It was something embarrassing there between England and I think it was Spain. And John, if you like, my website is linked on my channel. There are ways to connect me there. Okay, John. Oh, you saw it. Okay. Colleen, you are very welcome. It's all about doing good. So anything that's good, we have done something good. Obi, I'm also of the opinion that words may never be sufficient to explain some of these concepts, but the things we know, we just know. Yes, you see, Obi, you have very, very powerful insights, This is what you are saying here is very deep. Because, many concepts we understand, but you cannot put them into words. And I guess what it means that our emotional intelligence or our intuition is much, 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 or put it this way, our intuition is infinite. Words are finite, right? There is, I don't know how many words there are, but there is a certain number. And this is the difference, right? If there is maybe 10,000 words in a language, but intuition And emotions are infinite. Like there is no 10,000, is unlimited. And that's why you cannot put it in words. Oh, good. I came up with a good explanation, at least for me. I like it. But thank you, Obi, for saying that. This is what I'm looking for, actually. This is how we grow, right? Because we get input from other people and it makes us think. That's what I'm trying to do for you. Not trying, actually doing, I hope. Wouldn't your ego death be a personality change? Wouldn't your ego death be a personality change? Absolutely. Absolutely. But it's not something that we can initiate. You see, I didn't initiate it. It just happened. So it's similar to near-death experience, except it hit the ego instead of hitting my physical body, right? But it's exactly the same thing. Where it came from, I don't know. I didn't initiate it. Or maybe I did, because I was thinking how to get rid of that ego. It started to bother me. I realized that I'm not doing good with it. Red Deer, Alberta. Well, Alberta is always sunny. I don't know, Colin, why that happens. Yeah. Doug, lurking. What are you lurking for? We have enough cougars around. South Africa, okay. I was going to say India or Africa, so I was close, but I didn't really want to say it. I would rather you tell us where you're from. Good. South Africa. We have Mark from South Africa, but he's not here today. I guess maybe the power is not on in Johannesburg or where he lives. I know you guys have this shifting power failures. But if a healer is healing you, couldn't someone also be simultaneously wishing you illness? Therefore, the good of the healer could be undone. Well, like I said, this, and don't use the word energies, the word energy, because this is not energy. But yes, and at the end of the day, whoever is stronger, and whatever stronger means I cannot define, whoever is connected better to the programmer will override, or actually you, if this relates to you, you can override both of them. You can actually stop any of these things happening to you. It all depends on your state of mind, attitude, personality, self-confidence, happiness. All these factors will influence if anybody can do anything to you. Like, for example, I cannot be hypnotized. I don't think so, because I need to be in control. And whoever tried to hypnotize me over there, they didn't succeed. So I didn't let them, I can say, right? Any suggestions to help improve, transform, or transcend a toxic work environment? Thank you. Yeah, quit. Very simple. You cannot try to, the other way to do it, and I don't know your personality, I don't see a picture here, otherwise I could probably say something more to the point, but usually the work environment or any environment is a mirror of you in many ways. And if you change your attitude to actually being positive to the people who are negative to you, I don't want, well, if in other words, if you send positivity and love to those people that are toxic and are bad to you, negative, they will change their attitude. And you just have to do it in your mind. Think about them as human beings that are maybe misguided or stupid at that moment or have some pressures in their lives and they are not really bad people. If you think that way, they will change their attitude. I guarantee you. So that's another way. But the simplest one is just to switch, But you will find it in any place because it's something in your personality that creates it. Okay. Consent is very important. We don't always know how we do it, as everyone's soul is different. Yeah, that's a personality. Ideally, we facilitate your healing by having the outside awareness experience to help you with it. Well, again, it comes down to this uncertainty principle in our universe. Yeah, well, I also have a hard time to find another term, but what I was using when I was doing the healing olive, I was telling people that I'm sending them spiritual vitality instead of energy, because I didn't want to use the word energy. Load shedding, power cuts, yeah, load shedding, that's the one. I read about it. I'm convinced the universe is trying to balance people. TikTok addiction. Yeah, but the problem with TikTok is that you can see it on a battery-powered device too. So that the power cuts or load shedding wouldn't help with it. Okay, so I put something here. I think I told you I'm putting something here towards the end. So let me see what it was, if I can find it. Okay. Oh yeah, okay. I'm going to tell you one more thing. And it may be over your head right now because it needs more background, but I will throw it out there anyway. And the ones of you that like that concept, maybe you will go and do your own research. But what I'm suggesting here is very unique, very original. I don't think anybody ever thought about it or talked about it. And it could be a very interesting, for that, if a physicist does it, we'll get a Nobel Prize for sure. So here is an interesting experiment that I came up with. We know that time slows down either under gravity, like the stronger the gravity, the slower time will be, or under when we travel at very high speed. The closer we are to the speed of light, the slower time will be, and if we reach the speed of light, which at this point is not possible scientifically, time will stop. There will be no time. And how they test that? So originally, when they started testing that, what they did, they took two atomic clocks. An atomic clock is basically a clock that works on a decay of an electron or some other particles, and it's extremely precise. It's the most precise clock in the world. It can measure 1/1000th of a second. So they took two atomic clocks, and they put one on an airplane, one that flies, say, Mach 4, Mach 3, whatever, very high speed, and they left one on the ground, and when the airplane came back, they realized that there was a difference. The one on the airplane was going slower. Lots of comments are coming, so I'll look at those when I'm done with this thing here. Okay, so far so good, right? And my explanation to the reason the time is slowing down is because there is no such thing as time. It's the particles that are traveling, which is you and everything that's with you, including the vessel, whatever it is, a rocket, right? So the particles that are in the moving component, they start to move slower. And I will not get into the reason for it right now. There is a scientific explanation. I have my own, which is totally different. But the fact is that those particles slow down. And eventually, if you go at the speed of light, they don't move. So if you have a physical clock, even not atomic one, right, the clock will actually go slower because the clock is also made of particles. And the question here is this. We can prove actually with this experiment, maybe not today, but at some point when we can travel really fast, we can prove whether the world is physical or we can prove if the materialist theory is right or the idealist theory is right. How? Because if a person is flying at the speed close to speed of light, right? And if the consciousness is generated in the brain, like the materialists say, then he will be speaking very slow and thinking very slow, right? Because now, if the particles that generate his consciousness are moving slower, everything in his behavior will become smaller. So all you have to do is put a camera there, and you will find out immediately. But if the person flying, even though the time slowed in let's say 50%, is still just like I'm talking right now, that will prove that consciousness is not in the brain. So that's my piece for today, you know. Okay, let me see your comments here. No, there is no Zoom meeting today. Next week. We decided to do it every 2 weeks, and we had one last week. So we'll have one next Sunday. And I'll always send you a couple of emails and, you know, a warning and that the meeting is coming, and we'll talk about topics. And I hope that you get involved in the blog. Now, in that blog, the comment doesn't appear right away. I have to approve it. It's just how the website is set up. So if you don't see it right away on the website, don't worry. I have to read it, and then I click approve, and then it appears. And same with the replies. Like, I have to approve everything. Maybe in the future I'll find a way. But actually, it's better. That way we won't get any weird stuff there. Okay. Zakaria. Your thoughts on the works of William Walker Atkinson. You know what? I cannot come up with it right now. I will get back to you on that. Okay, I don't want to bring it in here. I want to make sure that I reply to everybody. And right now my mind is focused on other things, so I cannot really be that good at talking about his works. Okay. TikTok abuse is a mental practice of attention switch, training your brain to switch attention every 5-20 seconds. This leads to self-induced. Well, this is the world we're living in, you know, and there is good and bad, and this is how it works. It changes all the time, and people are changing it. So for the people that brought it, you know, created it and brought it, it's a good thing. For others, it's a bad thing. And this, like everything in the world, is that way. It's good for some and bad for others. That's why we have different personalities, right? Yeah, well, if it wasn't weird, Daniel, then we wouldn't have a YouTube channel. I wouldn't have a YouTube channel, right? If I was talking about cooking chicken, then I would have different audience too. All right. I think that I'll go out there into the sun. And I don't know if I go on the seawall or I go on the mountain. Probably go on the seawall, because on the mountain it's going to be too much snow, and I don't like to put the spikes on my shoes. So, like I said, I will not do live for the next 4 weeks. And I promise you some interesting videos instead. And for those of you that are part of the group, we'll see you next Sunday. If you want to join the group, I will put the link to join the group again in the description at the bottom of this video. And yeah, I wish you all the best. I hope I challenged you enough today to bring the juices in those particles in your mind, in your brain, and make your life more interesting, more enriched, brighter, and we'll see you soon. All the best. Bye.